My sister, my Ismene, do you know of any suffering from our father sprung that Zeus does not achieve for us survivors? There's nothing grievous, nothing free from doom, not shameful, not dishonored, I've not seen. Your sufferings and mine. And now, what of this edict which they say the commanders proclaim to the whole people? Have you heard anything? Or don't you know that the foe's trouble comes upon our friends?
I've heard no word, Antigone, of our friends, not sweet nor bitter, since that single moment when we too lost two brothers who died on one day by a double blow. And since the Argive army went away this very night, I have no further news of fortune or disaster for myself.
I knew it well, and brought you from the house for this very reason, that you alone may hear.
What is it? Clearly some news has clouded you.
It has indeed. Creon will give the one of our two brothers honor in the tomb, the other none. Eteocles, with just entreatment treated as law provides, he is hidden under earth to have full honor with the dead below. But Polynices' corpse, who died in pain, they say is proclaimed to the whole town that none may bury him and none bewail, but leave him unwept, untombed, a rich, sweet sight for the hungry birds beholding. Such orders, they say, the worthy Creon gives to you and me. Yes, I say to me, and that anyone who dares attempt the act will die by public stoning in the town. So there you have it. And you soon will show if you are noble or fallen from your descent.
If things have reached this stage, what can I do, poor sister, that will help to make her mend?
Think, will you share my labor and my act?
What will you risk? And where is your intent?
Will you take up that corpse along with me?
To bury him, you mean, when it is forbidden?
My brother. And yours, though you may wish he were not.
Oh, heart of mine when Creon spoke against it.
It's not for him to keep me from my own.
Alas, remember, sister, how our father perished? Abhorred, ill-famed, himself with his own hand through his own curse destroyed both eyes. Remember next, his mother and his wife finishing life in the shame of the twisted strings? And third, two brothers on a single day. Poor creatures, murdering a common doom, each with his own arm accomplished on the other. And look at the two of us, alone. We'll perish terribly if we force law and try to coerce the royal vote and power. We must remember that we too are women, so not to fight with men. And that since we are subject to strong power, we must hear these orders, or any of those that may be worse. So I shall ask of them beneath the earth forgiveness. For in these things I am forced and shall obey the men in power. I know that wild and futile action makes no sense.
I wouldn't urge it. And if now you wish to act, you wouldn't please me as a partner. Be what you want to, but that man shall I bury. For me, the doer, death is best. Friend shall I lie with him, yes, friend with friend. Would I have dared the crime of piety? Longer still the time in which to please the dead than that for those up here. There shall I lie forever. You may see fit to keep from honor what the gods have honored.
I shall do no dishonor, but to act against the citizens, I cannot.
That's your protection. Now I go to pile the burial mound for him, my dearest brother.
My poor sister, how I fear for you.
For me, don't borrow trouble, clear your fate.
At least give no one warning of this act. You keep it hidden and I'll do the same.
Dear gods, denounce me. I shall hate you more if silent, not proclaiming it to all.
You have a hot mind over chilly things.
I know I please those whom I most should please.
But you crave what can't be done.
And so, when strength gives out, I shall give over.
Wrong from the start, to chase what cannot be.
If that's her saying, I shall hate you first, and next the dead will hate you with all justice. But let me in my own ill counseling suffer this terror. I shall suffer nothing so great as dying with a lack of grace.
Go, since you want to. But know this, you go senseless indeed, but loved by those who love you.
Sun's own radiance, fairest light ever shone on the gates of Thebes. Then did you shine, O golden day's eye, coming over Dirce's stream, on the man who would come from Argos with all his armor running now in headlong fear as you shook his bridle free. He was stirred by the dubious quarrel of Polynices, so, screaming shrill, like an eagle over the land he flew, covered with white snow wing, with many weapons, with horsehair crested helms.
He who had stood above our halls, gaping about our 7 gates, with that circle of thirsting spears, gone, without our blood in his jaws. Before the torch took hold on our tower crown, rattle of war at his back. Hard the fight for the dragon's foe. The boasts of a proud tongue are for Zeus to hate. So seeing them streaming on in insolent clangor of gold, he struck with hurling fire him who rushed for the high wall's top to cry conquest abroad. Swinging, striking the earth, he fell fire in hand, who in mad attack had raged against us with blasts of hate. He failed. He failed of his aim. For the rest, great Ares dealt his blows about, first in the war team.
The captains stationed at 7 gates fought with 7, and left behind their brazen arms as an offering to Zeus, who is turner of battle. All but those wretches, sons of one man, one mother's sons, who sent their spears, each against each, and found the share of a common death together. Great named victory comes to us, answering Thebes' warrior joy. Let us forget the wars just done, and visit the shrines of the gods, all with night-long dance which Bacchus will lead, who shakes Thebes' acres.
Now here he comes, the king of the land, Creon, Menecius' son, newly named by the gods' new fate. What plan that beats about his mind has made him call this council session, sending a summons to all?
My friends, the very gods who shook the state with mighty surge have set it straight again. So now I sent for you, chosen from all. First, I knew in respect to Laius' royal power, and again when Oedipus had set the state to rights, and when he perished, you were still faithful in the descendants of the dead. When they too perished by a double fate, on one day, struck and striking, defiled each by his own hand, now it comes that I hold all the power and the royal throne. Close connection with the perished man. You cannot learn of any man the soul, the mind, and the intent until he shows his practice of the government and law. For I believe he who controls the state and does not hold to the best plans of all, but locks his tongue up through some kind of fear that he is worst of all who are or were. And he counts another greater friend than his own fatherland. I put him nowhere. So may Zeus, all-seeing, know this. It could not keep silent as disaster crept upon the town, destroying hope of safety. Nor could I count the enemy of the land friend to myself. Not I, who know so well that she it is who saves us, sailing straight, and only then can we have friends at all. With such good rules shall I enlarge our great state. And now I have proclaimed the brother edict. In the matter of the sons of Oedipus, citizens know Eteocles, who died defending this, our town with champion spear, is to be covered in the grave, and granted all holy rites we give the noble dead. But his brother, Polynices, whom I name the exile, who came back and sought to burn his fatherland, the gods who were his kin, who tried to gorge on the blood of the shared and led the rest of us as slaves, it is announced that no one in this town may give him burial or mourn for him. Leave him unburied. Leave his corpse, a dinner for the dogs and for the birds. Such is my mind. Never shall I myself honor the wicked and reject the just. The man who is well-minded to the state in front of me, death and life, he shall have his honor.
This resolution, Creon, is your own in the matter of the traitor and the true. For you can make such rulings as you will about the living and about the dead.
Now you be sentinels of the decree.
Order some younger man to take this on.
Already there are watchers of the corpse.
What other order would you give us then?
Not to take sides with any who disobey.
No fool is fool as far as loving death.
Death is the price. But often we have known man to be ruined by the hope of profit.
Lord, I can't claim that I am out of breath from rushing here with light and hasty step, for I had many haltings making me double back upon my road. My mind kept saying many things to me. I go where you will surely pay the price. Fool, are you halting? And if Creon learns from someone else, how shall you not be hurt? Turning this over, on I dilly-dallied, and so a short trip turns itself to long. Finally, though, my coming here won out. If what I say is nothing, still I'll say it, for I come clutching to one single hope that I can't suffer what is not my fate.
What is it that brings on this gloom of yours?
I want to first tell you about myself. I didn't do it. I didn't see who did it. It isn't right for me to get in trouble.
Your aim is good. You fence the fact around. It is clear you have some shocking news to tell.
Terrible tidings make for long delays.
Speak out the story and then get away.
I'll tell you. Someone left the corpse just now. Burial all accomplished. Thirsty dust strewn on the flesh. The ritual complete.
What are you saying? What man has dared to do this?
I wouldn't know. There were no marks of picks, no grubbed out earth. The ground was dry and hard, no trace of wheels. The door left no sign. When the first fellow on the day shift showed us, we were all sick with wonder, for he was hidden, not inside a tomb, light dust upon him enough to turn the curse. No wild beast's track, nor track of any hound having been near, nor was the body torn. We roared bad words about guard against guard and came to blows. No one was there to stop us. Each man had done it. Nobody had done it so to prove it on him. Hadn't shared the plan when it was plotted or when it was done. We were prepared to hold to red hot iron to swear before the gods that we hadn't done it. And last, when our sleuthing came out nowhere, one fellow spoke who made our heads droop low toward the ground. We couldn't disagree that we couldn't see a chance of getting off. We agreed we had to tell you about it. We couldn't hide the fact, so it went out. And the lot chose poor old me to win the prize. So here I am, unwilling. Quite sure you people hardly want to see me. Nobody likes the bringer of bad news.
Lord, while he spoke, my mind kept on debating. Isn't this action possibly a god's?
Stop before you fill me up with rage, or you will prove yourself insane as well as old. Unbearable. Saying that the gods take any kindly forethought for this corpse? Would it be they had hidden him away, honoring his good service, his who came to burn their pillared temples and their wealth, even their land, and break apart their laws? Or have you seen them honor wicked men? It is not so. No. From the first, there were some men in the town who took the edict hard and growled against me, who hid the fact that they were rearing back not rightly in the yoke. No way, my friends. These are the people, it is clear to me, who have bribed these men and brought about the deed. No current custom among men as bad as silver currency. This destroys the state. This drives men from their homes. This wicked teacher drives solid citizens to acts of shame. It shows men how to practice infamy and knows the deeds of all unholiness. Every least hireling who helped in this brought about then the sentence they shall have. But further, as I revere great Zeus, understand this. I tell you under oath, if you do not find the very man whose hands buried the corpse, bring him for me to see. Not death alone shall be enough for you, till living, hanging. Make clear the crime. For any future grabbings, you'll have learned where to get pay, and that it doesn't pay to squeeze a profit out of every source. For you'll have felt that more men come to doom through dirty profits than are kept by them.
May I say something? Or just turn and go?
Aren't you aware your speech is most unwelcome?
Does it annoy your hearing or your mind?
Why are you out to allocate my pain?
The doer hurts your mind. I hurt your ears.
You are a quibbling rascal through and through.
But anyhow, I never did the deed.
And you, the man who sold your mind for money?
Oh, how terrible to guess and guess at lies.
Go pretty up your paperwork. If you don't show me the doers, you will have to say that wicked payments work for their own revenge.
Indeed, I pray he's found. But yes or no, taken or not, as luck may settle it, you won't see me returning to this place. Saved when I neither hoped nor thought to be, I owe the gods a mighty debt of thanks.
Many the wonders, but nothing walks stranger than man. This thing crosses the sea in the winter storm, making his path through the roaring waves. And she, the greatest of gods, the earth, ageless she is, and unwearied, he wears her away as the plows go up and down from year to year, and his mules turn up the soil.
Gay nations of birds he snares and leads, wild beast tribes in the salty brood of the sea, with the twisted mesh of his nets. This clever man, he controls with craft the beasts of the open air, walkers on hills. The horse with his shaggy mane he holds and harnesses yoked about the neck, and the strong bull of the mountain.
Language and thought like the wind, and the feelings that make the town, he has taught himself, and shelter against the cold, refuge from rain. He can always help himself. He faces no future helpless. There's only death that he cannot find an escape from. That he has contrived refuge from illnesses once beyond all cure.
Clever beyond all dreams, the inventive craft that he has, which may drive him from one time or another to well or ill. When he honors the laws of the land and the gods' sworn right, high indeed is his city, but stateless the man who dares to dwell with dishonor. Not by my fire, never to share my thoughts who does these things.
My mind is split at this awful sight.
I know her. I cannot deny Antigone is here. Alas, the unhappy girl, her unhappy father's child. Oh, what is the meaning of this? It cannot be you that they bring in for breaking the royal law, caught in open shame.
This is the woman who has done the deed. We caught her at the burying. Where's the king?
Back from the house again, just when he's needed.
What must I measure up to? What has happened?
Lord, one should never swear off anything. Afterthought makes the first resolve a liar. I could have vowed I wouldn't come back here after your threats, after the storm I faced, but joy that comes beyond the wildest hope is bigger than all other pleasure known. I'm here, though I swore not to be, and bring this girl. We caught her burying dead. This time, we didn't need to shake the lats. Mine was the luck. So now, Lord, take her, you, and question her and prove her as you will, but I am free and I deserve full clearance on this charge.
Explain the circumstance of the arrest.
She was burying the man. You have it all.
Is this the truth? And do you grasp its meaning?
I saw her burying the very corpse you had forbidden. Is this adequate?
How was she caught and taken in the act?
It was like this. When we got back again, struck with those dreadful threatenings of yours, we swept away that dust that hid the corpse. We stripped it back to its slimy nakedness. And then we sat to windward on the hill so as to dodge the smell. We poked each other up with growling threats if anyone was careless of his work. For some time it went on till it was noon. The sun was high and hot. Then from the earth up rose a dusty whirlwind to the sky, filling the plain, smearing the forest leaves, clogging the upper air. We shut our eyes, sat and endured the plague the gods had sent. So the storm left us after a long time, and we saw the girl. She cried the sharp and shrill cry of a bitter bird which sees the nest bare where the young birds lay. And so the same girl, seeing the body stripped, cried with great groanings, cried a dreadful curse upon the people who had done the deed. Soon in her hands she brought the thirsty dust, and holding high a pitcher of wrought bronze, she poured the 3 libations for the dead. We saw this and surged down. We trapped her fast, and she was calm. We taxed her with the deeds, both past and present, and nothing was denied. And I was glad, and yet I took it hard. One's own escape from trouble makes one glad, but bringing friends to trouble is hard grief. Still, I care less for all these second thoughts than for the fact that I myself am safe.
You there, whose head is drooping to the ground. Do you admit to this, or do you deny it?
I say I did it, and I don't deny it.
Take yourself off wherever you wish to go free of the heavy charge. Tell me not at length, but in a word. You knew the order not to do this thing?
I knew. Of course I knew. The word was plain.
And still you dared to overstep these laws?
For me, it was not Zeus who gave the order, nor did that justice who lives with the gods below mark out such laws to hold among mankind. Nor did I think your orders were so strong that you, a mortal man, could overrun the gods' unwritten and unfailing laws. Not now, nor yesterday's. They always live, and no one knows their origin in time. So not through fear of any man's proud spirit would I be likely to neglect these laws, draw on myself the gods' sure punishment. I knew that I must die. How could I not, even without your warning? If I die before my time, I say it is a gain. Who lives in sorrows many as are mine, how shall he not be glad to gain his death? And so, for me to meet this fate, no grief. But if I left that corpse, my mother's son, dead and unburied, I'd have cause to grieve as now I grieve not. And if you think my acts are foolishness, then the foolishness may be in the fool's eye.
The girl is bitter. She's her father's child. She cannot yield to trouble, nor could he.
These rigid spirits are the first to fall. The strongest iron, hardened in the fire, most often ends in scraps and shatterings. Small curves bring raging horses back to terms. Slave to his neighbor, who can think of pride? This girl was expert in her insolence when she broke bounds beyond established law. When she had done it, insolence, the second, to boast her doing and to laugh in it? I am no man, and she the man instead, if she can have this conquest without pain. She is my sister's child. But were she the child of closer kin than any at my hearth, she and her sister should not so escape their death and doom. I charge Ismene too. She shared the planning of this burial. Call her outside. I saw her in the house, maddened, no longer mistress of herself. The sly intent betrays itself sometimes before the secret plotters work their wrong. I hate it too when someone caught in crime then wants to make it seem a lovely thing.
Do you want more than my arrest and death?
No more than that. For that is all I need.
Why are you waiting? Nothing that you say fits with my thought. I pray it never will, nor will you ever like to hear my words. And yet, what greater glory could I find than giving my own brother funeral? All these would say they agreed with me, did fear not mute their tongue. A king is fortunate in many ways, and most that he can act and speak at will.
None of the others see the case this way.
They see and do not say. You have them cowed.
You are not ashamed to think alone?
No, I am not ashamed. When was it shame to serve the children of my mother's womb?
It was not your brother who died against him then?
Full brother, on both sides, my parents' child.
Your act of grace in his regard is crime.
The corpse below would never say it was.
When you honor him and the criminal just alike?
It was a brother, not a slave, who died.
Died to destroy this land, the other guarded.
Death yearns for equal law for all the dead.
Not that the good and bad draw equal shares.
Who knows that this is holiness below?
Never the enemy, even in death, a friend.
I cannot share in hatred, but in love.
Then go down there, if you must, love, and love the dead. No woman rules me while I live.
There. Ismene is coming out. She loves her sister and mourns, with clouded brow and bloody cheeks, tears on her lovely face.
You there, lurking like a viper in the corner, who sucked me dry. I looked the other way while twin destruction planned against the throne. Now tell me, do you say you shared this deed? Or will you swear you didn't even know?
I did the deed. If she agrees I did. I am accessory and share the blame.
Death will not allow this. You did not wish for a part, nor did I give you one.
You are in trouble, and I am not ashamed to sail beside you in suffering.
Death and the dead, they know whose deed it was. I cannot love a friend whose love is words.
Sister, I pray, don't fence me out from honor, from death with you, and honor done the deed.
Don't die along with me, nor make your own that which you did not do. My death's enough.
When you are gone, what life can be my friend?
Love Creon. He's your kinsman and your care.
Why hurt me when it does yourself no good?
I also suffer when I laugh at you.
What further service can I do you now?
Save yourself. I shall not envy you.
Alas for me. Am I outside your fate?
Yes. For you chose to live when I chose death.
At least I was not silent. You were warned.
Some will have thought you wiser. Some will not.
And yet the blame is equal for us both.
Take heart. You live. My life died long ago. And that has made me fit to help the dead.
One of these girls has shown her lack of sense just now. The other had it from her birth.
Yes, Lord. When people fall in deep distress, their native sense departs and will not stay.
You chose your mind's distraction when you chose to work out wickedness with this wicked girl.
What life is there for me to live without her?
Do not speak of her, for she is here no more.
But will you kill your own son's promised bride?
There were other furrows for his plow.
But where the closeness that bounds these two?
Not for my sons will I choose wicked wives.
Dear Haman, your father robs you of your rights.
You and your marriage trouble me too much.
You will take away his bride from your own son.
Yes. Death will help me break this marriage off.
It seems determined that the girl must die.
You helped determine it. Now, no delay. Slaves, take them in. They must be women now. No more free running. Even the bold will fly when they see death drawing in close enough to end their life.
Fortunate they whose lives have no taste of pain. For those whose house is shaken by the gods escape no kind of doom. It extends to all the kin like the wave that comes when the winds of Thrace run over the dark of the sea. The black sand of the bottom is brought from the depth. The beaten capes sound back with a hollow cry. Ancient, the sorrow of Labdacus's house, I know. Dead men's grief comes back and falls on grief. No generation can free the next. One of the gods will strike. There is no escape. So now the light goes out for the house of Oedipus, while the bloody knife cuts the remaining root. Folly and fury have done this.
What madness of man, O Zeus, can bind your power? Not sleep can destroy it, who ages all, nor the weariless months the gods have set. Unaged in time, monarch you rule of Olympus' gleaming light. Near time, far future, and the past. One law controls them all. Any greatness in human life brings doom. Wandering hope brings help to many men, but others she tricks from their giddy loves, and her quarry knows nothing until he has walked into flame. Word of wisdom it was when someone said, the bad becomes the good, to him a god would doom. Only briefly is that one from Underdoom.
Here is your one surviving son. Is he come in grief at the fate of his bride? In pain that he's tricked of his wedding?
Soon we shall know more than a seer could tell us. Son, have you heard the vote condemned your bride? And have you come here maddened against me? Or aren't we friends? Whatever I may do.
My father, I am yours. You keep me straight with your good judgment, which I shall ever follow, nor shall a marriage count for more with me than your kind leading.
There's my good boy. So should you hold at heart and stand behind your father all the way, it is for this men pray, that they may beget households of dutiful, obedient sons, who share alike in punishing enemies and give due honor to their father's friends. Whoever breeds a child that will not help what he has sown, but trouble for himself, and for his enemies' laughter full and free. Son, do not let your lust mislead your mind, all for a woman's sake. For well you know how cold the thing he takes into his arms who has a wicked woman for his wife. What deeper wounding than a friend? No friend? Spit her forth forever as your foe. Let the girl marry somebody in Hades, since I have caught her in the open act, the only one in town who disobeyed. I shall not now proclaim myself a liar, but kill her. Let her sing her song of Zeus who guards the kindred. If I allow disorder in my house, I'd surely have to license it abroad. A man who deals in fairness with his own, he can make manifest justice in the state. But he who crosses law or forces it, or hopes to bring the rulers under him, shall never have a word of praise from me. The man the state has put in place must have obedient hearing to his least command when it is right, and even when it's not. He who accepts this teaching, I can trust, ruler or ruled, to function in his place, to stand his ground even in the storm of spears, a mate to trust in battle at one's side. There is no greater wrong than disobedience. This ruins cities. This tears down our homes. This breaks the battlefront in panic rout. If men live decently, it is because discipline saves their very lives for them. So I must guard the men who yield to order, not let myself be beaten by a woman. Better if it must happen, that a man should overstep me. I won't be called weaker than womankind.
We think, unless our age is cheating us, that what you say is sensible and right.
Father, the gods have given men good sense, the only sure possession that we have, that there was error in your late remarks. Yet someone else might bring some further light. Because I am your son, I must keep watch over all men's doing where it touches you, their speech, and most of all, their discontents. Your presence frightens any common man from saying things you would not care to hear. But in dark corners, I have heard them saying how the whole town is grieving for this girl, unjustly doomed, if ever woman was, to die in shame for glorious action done. She would not leave her fallen, slaughtered brother there as he lay unburied for the birds and hungry dogs to make an end of him. Isn't her real desert a golden prize? This is the undercover speech in town. Father, your welfare is my greatest good. What loveliness in life for any child outweighs a father's fortune and good fame, and so a father feels his children's bearing. Then, do not have one mind and one alone, that only your opinion can be right. Whoever thinks that he alone is wise, his eloquence, his mind above the rest, Come the unfolding shows his emptiness. A man, though wise, should never be ashamed of learning more, and must unbend his mind. Have you not seen the trees beside the torrent, the ones that bend them, saving every leaf, while the resistant perish root and branch? And so the ship that will not slacken sail, her sheet drawn tight, unyielding, overturns. She ends the voyage with her keel on top. No, yield your wrath. Allow a change of stand. Young as I am, if I may give advice, I'd say it would be best if men were born perfect in wisdom, but that failing this, which often fails, it can be no dishonor to learn from others when they speak good sense.
Lord, if your son has spoken to the point, you should take his lesson. He should do the same. Both sides have spoken well.
At my age, I'm to school my mind by his? The boy instructor is my master then?
I urge no wrong. I'm young, but you should watch my actions, not my years, to judge of me.
A loyal action to respect disorder.
I wouldn't urge respect for wickedness.
You don't think she is sick with that disease?
Your fellow citizens maintain she's not.
He's the town to tell me how I ought to rule.
How dare you speak just like a boy yourself?
Am I to rule by other mind than mine?
No city is property of a single man.
But custom gives possession to the ruler.
You'd rule a desert beautifully alone.
It seems he is firmly on the woman's side.
If you're a woman, it is you I care for.
Wicked. To try conclusions with your father.
When you conclude unjustly, so I must.
Am I unjust when I respect my office?
You tread down the gods' due. Respect is gone.
Your mind is poisoned, weaker than a woman.
At least you'll never see me yield to shame.
Your whole long argument is but for her.
And you, and me, and for the gods below.
You shall not marry her while she's alive.
Then she shall die. Her death will bring another.
Your boldness has made progress. Threats indeed.
No threat to speak against your empty plan.
Hast do sharp lessons for your empty brain.
You weren't father, I should call you mad.
Do not flatter me with father, you woman slave.
You wish to speak, but you never wish to hear.
You think so? By Olympus, you shall never revile me with these tauntings and go free. Bring out the hateful creature. She shall die full in his sight, close at her bridegroom's side.
Not at my side, her death. And you will not ever lay eyes upon my face again. Find other friends to rave with after this.
Lord, he has gone with all the speed of rage. When such a man is grieved, his mind is hard.
Let him go. Plan superhuman action. Anyway, the girl shall not escape.
You plan for both the punishment of death.
Not her who did not do it. You're right.
And what death have you chosen for the other?
To take her where the foot of man comes not. There, I shall hide her in a hollowed cave, living, and leave her just so much to eat as clears the city from the guilt of death. Therefore, if she prays to death, the only god of her respect, she may manage not to die, or she may learn at last, and even then how much too much her labor for the dead.
Love. Unconquered in fight. Love who falls on our havings. You rest in the bloom of a girl's unwithered face. You cross the sea. You are known in the wildest lairs. Not the immortal gods can fly, nor men of a day. Who has you within him is mad. You twist the minds of the just. Wrong they pursue and are ruined.
You made this quarrel of kindred before us now. Desire looks clear from the eyes of a lovely bride, power as strong as the founded world. For there is the goddess at play with whom no man can fight.
Now I am carried beyond all bounds. My tears will not be checked. I see Antigone depart to the chamber where all men sleep.
Men of my father's land, you see me take my last journey. My last sight of the sun. And never again. Death, who takes all to sleep, takes me alive to the shore of that underground river. Never for me was the marriage hymn. Nor will anyone start such a song at any wedding of mine. Acheron is my mate.
With praise as your portion, you go in fame to the vault of the dead. Untouched by wasting disease, not paying the price of the sword, of your own motion you go. Alone among mortals will you descend in life to the house of death.
Pitiful was the death that stranger died, our queen, once Tantalus's daughter. The rock, it sprung up over her like stubborn ivy it grew. Still as she wastes, the rain and snow were her only companions. Pouring from her mournful eyes comes the water which soaks the stone. My own putting to sleep, some god has planned out like hers.
God's child and a god she was. We are born to death. Yet, even in death, you will have your fame, to have gone like a god to your fate, living and dying alike.
Laughter? Against me now? In the name of my father's gods, could you not wait until I went? Must affront be thrown in my face? Oh, city of wealthy men, I call upon Dirce's spring, upon Thebes' grove in the armored plain to be my witness. How with no friend's mourning, by what decree I go to the fresh-made prison tomb, alive to the place of corpses, an alien still, never at home among the living or the dead.
You went to the furthest verge of daring. But there you found the high foundation of justice and fell. Perhaps you were paying your father's pain.
You speak of my darkest thought. My pitiful father's fame spread throughout the land, and the doom that haunts our house, the royal house of Thebes, my mother's marriage bed, destruction where she lay within her husband Son, these are my parents, and I their child. I go to stay with them. My curse is to die unwed. My brother, you found your fate when you found your bride. Found mine for me as well. Dead. You destroy my life.
You showed respect for the dead. So we for you.
But power is not to be thwarted so. Your self-sufficiency has brought you down.
Unwept. No wedding song, unfriended. Now I go down the road laid down before me. No longer shall I see this holy light of the sun. No friend to bewail my fate.
When people sing the dirge for their own deaths ahead of time, nothing will break them off if they can hope that this will buy delay. Take her away at once and open up the tomb I spoke of. Leave her there alone. There, let her choose death or a buried life. No stain of guilt upon us in this case, but she is exiled from our life on earth.
Tomb! Oh, marriage chamber, hollowed out house that will watch forever where I go. To my own people who are mostly there, Persephone has taken them to her. Last of them all, ill-fated past the rest, shall I descend before my course is run. Still, when I get there, I may hope to find I come as a dear friend to my dear father, to you, my mother, and to you, my brother. All three of you have known my hand in death. I washed your bodies, dressed them for the grave, poured out the last libation at the tomb. Last, Polynices knows the price I pay for doing final service to his corpse. And yet the wise will know my choice was right. Had I had children or their father dead, I'd let them molder. I should not have chosen in such a case to cross the state's decree. What is the law that lies behind these words? One husband gone, I might have found another, or a child from a new man in the first child's place. But with my parents hid away in death, no brother ever could spring up for me. Such was the law by which I honored you. But Creon thought the doing was a crime, a dreadful, daring brother of my heart. So now he takes and leads me out by force. No marriage bed, no wedding song for me. And since no wedding, so no child to rear. I go, without a friend, struck down by fate, live, to the hollow chambers of the dead. What divine justice have I disobeyed? Why, in my misery, look to the gods for help? Can I call any of them my ally? I stand convicted of impiety. The evidence, my pious duty done. Should the gods think that this is righteousness, in suffering all see my error clear. But if it is the others who are wrong, I wish them no greater punishment than mine.
Same tempest of mind as ever controls the girl.
Therefore, her guards shall regret the slowness with which they move.
That word comes close to death.
You are perfectly right in that.
O town of my fathers in Thebes land, O gods of our house, I am led away at last. Look, leaders of Thebes, I am the last of your royal line. Look what I suffer. At whose command? Because I respected the right.
Danae suffered too. She went from the light to the brass-built room, chamber and tomb together. Like you, poor child, she was of great descent, and more, she held and kept the seed of the golden rain which was Zeus.
Fate has terrible power. You cannot escape it by wealth or war. No fort will keep it out. No ships outrun it. Remember the angry king, son of Dryas, who raged at the god and paid, pent in a rock-walled prison? His bursting wrath slowly went down. As the terror of madness went, he learned of his frenzied attack on the god. Fool, he had tried to stop the dancing women possessed of God, the fire of Dionysus, the songs and flutes.
Where the dark rocks divide sea from sea in Thrace is Salmydessus, whose savage god beheld the terrible blinding wounds dealt to Phineus' sons by their father's wife. Dark the eyes that looked to avenge their mother. Sharp with her shuttle she struck, and blooded her hands.
Wasting they wept their fate, settled when they were born to Cleopatra, unhappy queen. She was a princess too, of an ancient house, reared in the cave of the wild north wind, her father. Half a goddess, but child, she suffered like you.
We too have come one road, two of us looking through one pair of eyes. This is the way of walking for the blind.
Tiresias, what news has brought you here?
I'll tell you. You, in turn, must trust the prophet.
I have always been attentive to your counsel.
And therefore you have steered this city straight.
Therefore I can say how helpful you've been.
Now you are balanced on a razor's edge.
What is this? I shudder at your words.
You'll know when you hear the signs that I have marked. I sat where every bird of heaven comes in my old place of augury, and heard bird cries I'd never known. They shrieked about, goaded by madness, inarticulate. I marked that they were tearing one another with claws of murder. I could hear the wing beats. I was afraid, so straight away I tried burnt sacrifice upon the flaming altar. No flame caught my offerings. Slimy ooze dripped from the ashes. Smoked and sputtered their gall, burst its bladder, vanished into vapour. Fat dripped from the bones and would not burn. These are the omens of the rites that have failed, as my boy here has told me. He's my guide, as I am guide to others. Why has this sickness struck against the state? Through your decision, all of the altars of the town are choked on the leavings of the dogs and the birds. Their feast was on that fated, fallen Polynices. So the gods will have no offerings from us. Not prayer, nor flame of sacrifice. The birds will not cry out a sound I can distinguish, gorged on the greasy blood of that dead man. Think of these things, my son. All men may err, but error once committed, he's no fool nor yet unfortunate who gives up his stiffness and cures the trouble he has fallen in. Stubbornness and stupidity are twins. Yield to the dead. Why goad him where he lies? What use to kill the dead a second time? I speak for your own good, and I am right. Learning from a wise counsellor is not pain, if what he speaks are profitable words.
Old man, you all, like bowmen at a mark, have bent your bows at me. I've had my share of seers. I've been an item in your accounts. Make profit, trade in Lydian silver, gold, pure gold of India. That is your chief desire, but you will never cover up that corpse. Not if the very eagles tear their food from him and leave it at the throne of Zeus. I wouldn't give him up for burial in fear of that pollution. For I know no mortal being can pollute the gods. Oh, Tiresias, human beings fall, the clever ones the furthest, when they plead a shameful case so well in hope of profit.
What man can tell me, has he thought at all?
What hacking saw is coming from your lips?
And how better than all wealth is sound, good counsel.
And so is folly worse than anything.
And you're infected with that very same disease.
I am reluctant to be uncivil to a seer.
You're that already. You have said I lie.
Well, the whole crew of seers are money mad.
And the whole tribe of tyrants grab at gain.
Do you realize you were talking to a king?
I know. Who helped you save this town you now hold?
You are a wise seer, but you love wickedness.
You'll bring me to speak the unspeakable very soon.
Well, speak it out, but do not speak for profit.
Know well, sun will not have rolled its course many more days before you come to give corpse for these corpses, child of your own loins. For you've confused the upper and lower worlds. You sent a life to settle in a tomb. You keep up here that which belongs below, the corpse unburied, robbed of its release. Not you, nor any god that rules on high can claim him now. You rob the nether gods of what is theirs. So the pursuing horrors lie in wait to track you down. The furies sent by Hades and by all gods, we'll even you with your victims. Now, say that I am bribed. At no far time shall men and women wail within your house. And all the cities that you fought in war, whose sons had burial from wild beasts or dogs or the birds, brought back the stench of your great wrong to each hearth. They move against you now. A bowman, as you have said, I send my shafts. Now you've moved me straight. You'll feel the wound. Boy, take me home now. Let him spend his rage on younger men and learn to calm his tongue and keep a better mind than now he does.
Lord, he is gone. Terrible prophecies. And since the time when I first grew gray hair, his sayings to the city have been true.
I also know this. And my mind is torn. To yield is dreadful, but to stand against him, dreadful to strike my spirit to destruction.
Now you must come to council and take advice.
Well, what must I do? Speak, and I shall obey.
Go and free the maiden from that rocky house. Bury the dead who lies in readiness.
This is your counsel? You would have me yield?
Quick as you can. The gods move very quickly when they bring ruin on misguided men.
Oh, how hard abandonment of my desire. But I can fight necessity no more.
Do it yourself. Leave it to no one else.
I'll go at once. Come, followers, to your work. You that are here, round up the other fellows, take axes with you. Hurry to that place that overlooks us. Now my decision has been overturned. Shall I, who bound her, set her free? I've come to fear it's best to hold the laws of old tradition to the end of life.
God of the many names, Semele's golden child, child of Olympian thunder, Italy's Lord, Lord of Eleusis, where all men come to Mother Demeter's plain. Bacchus, who dwell in Thebes by his Menace running water, where wild Bacchic women are at home from the soil of the dragon seed. Seen in the glaring flame high on the double mount with the nymphs of Parnassus at play on the hill, seen by Castalia's flowing stream. You come from the ivied heights, from green Euboea shore. In immortal words, we cry your name, Lord. Watch the ways, the many ways of Thebes.
This is your city, honored beyond the rest, the town of your mother's miracle death. Now, as we wrestle our grim disease, come with healing steps from Parnassus' slope or over the moaning sea. Leader in the dance of the fire-pulsing stars, overseer of the voices of night, child of Zeus, be manifest with due companionship from Maenad maids, whose cry is but your name.
Neighbors of Cadmus and Amphion's house, there is no kind of state in human life which I now dare to envy or to blame. Luck sets it straight, and luck she overturns the happy or unhappy day by day. No prophecy can deal with men's affairs. Creon was envied once, as I believe, for having saved this city from its foes and having got full power in this land. He steered it well, and he had noble sons. Now everything is gone. Yes, when a man has lost all happiness, he's not alive. Call him a breathing corpse. Be very rich at home, live as a king. But once your joy has gone, though these are left, they are smoke shadows to lost happiness.
What is the grief of princes that you bring?
They're dead. The living are responsible.
Who died? Who did the murder? Tell us now.
Haman is gone. One of his kin drew blood.
But whose arm struck? His father's or his own?
He killed himself. His father? His blood, though, is on his father.
Seer, all too true, the prophecy you told.
This is the state of things. Now make your plans.
Eurydice is with us now. Creon's poor wife. She may have come by chance. She may have heard something about her son.
I heard your talk as I was coming out to greet the goddess Pallas with my prayer. And as I moved the bolts that held the door, I heard of my own sorrow. I fell back fainting in my woman's arms. But say again, just what news you bring. I, whom you speak to, have known grief before.
Dear lady, I was there, and I shall tell, leaving out nothing of the true account. Why should I make it soft for you with tales to prove myself a liar? Truth is right. I followed your husband to the plain's far edge, where Polynices' corpse was lying still unpitied. The dogs had torn him all apart. We prayed to the goddess of all journeyings and Pluto that they turn their wrath to kindness. We gave the final purifying bath, then burned the poor remains on new cut boughs, and heaped a high mound of his native earth. Then turned we to the maiden's rocky bed, death's hollow marriage chamber. But still far off, one of us heard a voice in keen lament by that unblessed abode. He ran and told the master. As Creon came, he heard confusion, crying. He groaned and spoke, "Am I a prophet now? Do I tread the saddest of all roads I ever trod?" My son's voice crying, "Servants, run up close, stand by the tomb and look, push through the crevice where we built that pile of rock, right to the entry, find out if that is Haman's voice I hear or if the gods are tricking me indeed." We obeyed the order of our mournful master. In the far corner of the tomb, we saw her, hanging by the neck, caught in a noose of her own linen veiling. Haman embraced her as she hung and mourned his bride's destruction, dead and gone below. His father's actions, the unfated marriage. When Creon saw him, he groaned terribly and went toward him and called him with lament. "What have you done? What plan have you caught up? What sort of suffering is killing you? Come out, my child, I do beseech you, come. The boy looked at him with his angry eyes, spat in his face, and spoke no further word. He drew his sword, but as his father ran, he missed his aim. Then the unhappy boy, in anger at himself, leant on the blade. It entered half its length into his side. While he was conscious, he embraced the maiden, holding her gently. Last, he gasped out blood. Red blood on her white cheek. Corpse on a corpse he lies. He found his marriage, its celebration in the halls of Hades. So he has made it very clear to men that to reject good counsel is a crime.
What do you make of this? The queen has gone in silence. We know nothing of her mind.
I wonder at her too. But we can hope that she has gone to mourn her son within her own woman and not before the town. She knows discretion. She will do no wrong.
I am not sure. This muteness may portend as great disaster as a loud lament.
I will go in and see if some deep plan hides in her heart's wild pain. You may be right. There can be heavy danger in mute grief.
But look, the king draws near. His own hand brings the witness of his crime, the doom he brought on himself.
Oh, crimes of my wicked heart, harshness bringing death. You see the killer, you see the kin he killed. My planning was all unblessed. Son, you have died too soon. Oh, you have gone away through my fault, not your own.
You have learned justice, though it comes too late.
Oh, yes. I have learned in sorrow. It was a God who struck me, who weighted my head with disaster. He drove me to wild, strange ways, his heavy heel on my joy. Oh, sorrows of men.
Master, you hold one sorrow in your hands, but you have more stored up inside the house.
What further suffering can come on me?
Your wife has died. The dead man's mother indeed. Poor soul, her wounds are fresh.
Hades! Harbor of all, you have destroyed me now. Terrible news to hear. Or the tale I tell you. I was dead, and you killed me again. Boy, did I hear you right? Did you say the queen was dead? Slaughter on slaughter heaped.
Now you can see. Concealment is all over.
My second sorrow is here. Surely no fate remains which could strike me again. Just now I held my son in my arms. Now I see her dead. Woe to the mother and the son.
There by the altar, dying on the sword, her eyes fell shut. She wept her older son who died before, and this one. Last, she cursed you as the killer of her children.
I am mad with fear. Will no one strike strike me with cutting sword, sorrowful, soaked in sorrow to the bone.
Yes, for she held you guilty in the death of him before you, and the elder dead.
How did she die?
Struck home at her own heart when she had heard of him in suffering.
This is my guilt. All mine. I killed you. I say it clear. Servants, take me away out of the sight of men. I, who am nothing more than nothing now.
Your plan is good, if any good is left. Best to cut short our sorrow.
Let me go, let me go. May death come quick, bringing my final day. Oh, let me never see tomorrow's sun.
That is the future's. We must look to now. What will be is in other hands than ours.
All my desire was in that prayer of mine.
Oh, pray not again. No mortal can escape the doom prepared for him.
Take me away at once. The frantic man who killed my son against my meaning. I cannot rest. My life is warped past cure. My fate has struck me down.
And so a father feels his children's faring.
Learning from a wise counselor is not pain.
You
If what
chose
he
to live.
speaks are profitable words.
When I chose
the
death,
gods move very fast when they
Went
bring
to the
ruin on
furthest
misguided
verge
men.
of
Would not
daring.
leave
I
a
know
fallen,
you
slaughtered
speak
brother
to
there.
your
no
wasting
they work
their fate.
Your
self-sufficiency
self-sufficiency
has
Yes.
and do not for you take charge.
You
When I
last
live,
of
my
all,
life
you'll
is
not
you.
Our happiness depends on wisdom all the way. The gods must have their due. Great words by men of pride bring greater blows upon them. So wisdom comes to the old.